That's not how we're supposed to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a spooky edition of None the Lesser with your host, Cody Buchanan, and the guest host,
Emily Buchanan.
Here's too spooky. Today, on the most spookiest day of the year, we have some storytelling from some spooky stories that we found on Reddit. A lot of them claim to be true. As a matter of fact, all of them claim to be true. So,
Hate when they do that.
yeah, we're going to jump right into these and see how we feel about them and how much we struggle with sleeping afterwards.
Well,
but as for a little briefing tonight, I am having Victory Brewing's Golden Monkey Triple Ale, and Emily is having Leelanau Cellars Witch's Brew, which is definitely more festive than mine, but I already had a little of that last week and don't want any more. But yeah, that's a very popular wine out of Michigan.
it is good.
It is good. You're supposed to drink it warm. Emily doesn't want to, but it is good. And it's a spiced wine, so very fitting for the season. It's probably one of...
Is it supposed to be spicy?
Not spicy, it's spiced.
Oh, okay.
I remind you all that Emily can't smell, so...
So I don't really have like a taste for anything refined
so
or
she can't even tell that it's spiced, probably.
No.
I can smell the wine, the spices in the wine from here, so...
It's pretty much like every red wine tastes the same, and every white wine tastes like a little tiny bit different than red wine does. You know? Anyone else out there?
Nobody else
Where's
knows.
my anosmics at?
Yeah. It's a good wine, though. It's not like a go-to by any means for me, but it is like for the season, it's good, especially if you drink it warm the way it's meant to be. But
Yeah,
anyways, that's not what this episode's about.
Wakes me out.
What are some updates we have since the last time we've talked, which was your episode?
Yeah. Updates. We're a lot more exhausted now.
Donald Trump got COVID.
Oh yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'm bitter.
Yeah, okay. A little more exhausted.
I'm more exhausted. Yes, someone that we love very much is getting her molars. So she's been up at 5 a.m. every single day for like 4 weeks straight.
Yeah, it's not one of our dogs. We've been watching Bly Manor, the Haunting of Bly Manor.
That's pretty spooky. I will say, to me, it's not as spooky as The Haunting of Hill House.
So far,
we're not all the way through it, so don't quote us.
It's okay. The pacing of it might be slow for some, but I think that it was really well paced so far.
Bly.
Yes, Bly. Yes, Bly Manor was paced really well so far because
I love that pacing.
Really slowly introduces these character stories, and you know it's scary, but like it's not putting anything right in front of you to understand. And like I said the other day, like the scariest movies and books and whatever it is that you're watching are those stories that take their time with introducing what you're supposed to be scared of.
Yes.
And this does a really good job of that.
Yes. Unless, what was that? You don't have to put this in, but what was that movie we watched with the little guys that were...
Oh my God. What was that? Oh, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah. But we went into it kind of thinking it was like, could actually be scary.
Yeah. And well, okay. You don't always hit the mark.
It had a slow build.
But
not a slow build.
You have to admit, before seeing them, they were scary.
They were, yeah.
It was scary before seeing them. Okay.
A little.
Don't be scared of the dark was had some of the Guillermo del Toro hand in it, which is, you know, an amazing name in horror. So it was like, okay, we got to check this out. Granted, he didn't have all the hand in it, but it ended up being a pretty big flop for us. It just wasn't scary once we knew Whoa.
Yeah, the creatures. It was
The
like
creature
a.
was.
It was like a Pixar, like one of those little extra films that they. It was
Like the little guy playing chess all
Yeah.
alone in the park.
Yeah, it was like one of those little extras where they're, or like the Smurfs movie or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. It had a real
They were too like
Smurfy vibe.
quirky.
Yeah.
But you live and learn. Live and let learn.
Yeah, we'll watch. I mean, we'll give anything a try. We're watching Hubie Halloween, for God's sake.
Okay. We're watching Haunting of Bly Manor, and like we just said, it is very spooky the way they're setting it up. It's really slow how they're introducing what the horror is, because they're really developing character, and that's great. I love that. So by the end of an episode, I am spooked. Emily is spooked, you would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we said, let's watch from whatever time we end till the next top of like the next 5 minutes. So if we end at like 9:42, we have to stop watching at 9:45 Hubie Halloween or whatever it's called with Adam Sandler on Netflix. And so we watch Hubie Halloween in anywhere of like 2 to 5 minute increments every night, which is not the way you're supposed to watch a movie.
How would you really describe like why we do that sort of thing to ourselves, or
I don't know.
Why do we do it? I can't explain it. It's like we're not doing it because we like it.
Yeah, it's
but we calculated that if we watched exactly 5 minutes, which is kind of the average of what we watch every night, we will finish exactly on Halloween night.
Yeah, and Halloween night we should be done with Hubie Halloween.
And it's so hard to watch.
Oh my God. Look, I love Adam Sandler.
I do too.
But I think his place in movies, at least the place that he found himself in the beginning, is done. But Hubie Halloween is trying to pretend that it's not.
And what's weird is he was doing like some really good roles recently. Like the one where he's like his daughter's getting married to Chris Rock's son.
I haven't watched it.
Oh, that was a mean night. But I liked that one. He's had some more serious roles. Some more like, you know, I liked a lot of his recent roles.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's just
I don't know who it's for.
That's the question, is who is this meant for? Like, it's beyond Billy Madison, his character.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it's like, I would say it's borderline offensive. I don't know if it's just actually
I don't know.
offensive.
I think it is. I think it would be.
It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't really talk much on the subject, but yeah, I think.
I'm just wondering, like, around the table when they're thinking about, like, the idea for this movie, they're, like, just trying to describe his character, and it's like, what, is he, like, just have a speech impediment? Is he, like, have some like mental disability? Yeah, that's what I'm like. But
it's like, what is the message within the character? I mean, we're not even, what are we, like 16 minutes in?
Probably.
After like 7 nights of watching it.
Yeah. So we're chugging along.
So like, what can we really say? But
yeah, it's
the character.
It's just really, yeah. And of course, you know, he's like going to fall in love with like the popular girl from high school, or.
Yeah. Who's that actress? Do you know?
The Modern Family mom.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
No. Me neither.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through my glass.
Already toasty. Okay, well, I don't know what else is going on. Anything else?
Nothing else. I mean, now I'm thinking after this, we got to watch some Bly Manor.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we're just staying sane before the election.
Yeah, that's another spooky thing, so we don't got to talk about that.
I mean, yeah, maybe the spookiest of all.
All right, let's start with the spooky storytelling. We're going to start with a story that I never received a response from the user who posted it on whether or not I could share it, but I will credit them nonetheless.
The poster's okay.
What? No, I don't know. This was posted in our paranormal. I never know how to talk about subreddits in person. Do I say the R? Do I say subreddit paranormal? Anyways, it was
Say
posted in
R.
r/paranormal, posted by user Tinglempus. And the title is, I ran an estate sale in an old bungalow. There was something in that house. A few years ago, I worked for a company that conducted estate sales. Super fun job. You can get so much good shit at estate sales, just for your information. Anyways, someone contacted the company about a potential sale at a family home. It ended up being too small for the company, so they suggested I could do it for them on my own time. Can't remember my fee, but it was pretty easy work. I met the family at the house. It was a 1920s bungalow in St. Paul, Minnesota. Had been in the family since it was built. I fell in love with it. It was completely untouched and has so much potential. The family was very nice. The house had belonged to their aunt, who was basically the neighborhood witch. She was reclusive and angry, and the neighbors weren't fans. She had died. Don't know if it was from the house, or don't know if it was in the house or not. And the family was settling the estate. I started organizing and pricing items alone in the house. The second floor had already been cleared, so I was only working on the main floor. But I started hearing footsteps immediately above me when I was in the dining room. I went upstairs. Above the dining room was a large bedroom painted bright pink. The rest of the upstairs was a half bath, a large attic space, and a small attic space accessed through a small door on the landing. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I brushed it off, blamed the wind. I then realized that it was completely still outside. My sister came over to see the house. We were in the dining room when they started above us, footsteps. I looked at her and shrugged. I knew it wasn't my imagination. The sale started. Even though the second floor was empty, the house was on the market, so people could look around. People started coming down, coming up to me and saying things like, "Wow, that pink bedroom is creepy," or "Something is definitely going on up in that bedroom." I was a little freaked out, but I stayed calm. Then, an elderly Native American man came to the sale. When he came downstairs, he motioned me to come over. He said, "Do you know that there is something in that pink room?" I said that I had heard things, but I thought it was probably a good spirit. I guess I was being hopeful. And he just shook his head while making direct eye contact and left. At the end of the sale, when I was packing up, I heard a crash upstairs. The door to the small crawl space had blown out and landed about 2 feet across the landing. The house sold immediately, though. So again, I didn't get a response from this user, but that story really creeped me out just because it reminds me of my own house and the farmhouse that I grew up in.
I'm really thankful, especially, reading something like this, but all the stuff we've been watching, I'm so thankful we don't live in an old house.
Yeah, 1970s is a great year to buy.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe this guy.
You don't?
I know he says it's true, but
look, like I just said, the farmhouse I grew up in, we had one of those attic cutouts up in the wall, and 4 or 5 times it had blown out of the wall.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and just like landed in the hallway. Yeah. And like that house freaked me out. It freaked my mom out. It freaked everyone in our house that lived there out. Not enough to move out because of it, but like the first week we lived there, my mom said that, okay, a little more context on this house. The previous homeowner was a widow. Her husband had died in the town we lived in, which I've already mentioned in a previous episode, was Holly, Davisburg, Michigan. And the previous owner's husband died on the train track. He was crossing the track and got hit by a train.
That is a really hard way to die that way.
Well, it was probably before regulations for that kind of traffic was more regulated.
Oh, he was in a car?
He was in the car.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
he
you
was in
meant
his
he was
truck.
just like walking across the train track really slow and
No.
wasn't able to get across.
No, I don't really know the full story. All I know is that his vehicle while he was in it got hit by a
Oh,
train.
that's
And
terrible.
he died. So we bought the house a few years, or I don't know, 20 years, 30 years after that had happened. The lady was ready to move on. In the first week that we lived there, my mom told us about how she had sleep paralysis in the bed, and she had heard a voice, electricity running through her body, and she couldn't actually hear a voice, but it was like a tone or something telling her, like, take care of this house. And I didn't have that experience, but I told you about the time that, like, I was laying in my bed and there was like that shadowy hand like creeping up and down the trim
I'm so
in my closet.
Your
And that,
story's creeping me out more than this one.
well, that's what I'm saying. Just because this was a really old house, clearly, and
Yeah.
the whole attic door like blowing out, like that happened to us a few times. And people say that happens because of pressure in the attic, and that's probably it. But that house freaked me out. This house sounds freaky too.
Mm-hmm.
And if an elderly Native American man came into my house and told me that, then I'd be like, dude, you're probably fucking right.
But I mean, think of if you were watching that in a movie and an elderly Native American guy came in all alone to an open house. You'd be like,
it's a little cliche.
That's really cliche.
But I mean,
I know it.
Reality parodies what we know in, film and stories all the time.
Of course. No, I think this could happen.
Okay, but is it spooky?
It's definitely spooky.
Okay.
I'm just saying, this one didn't have me up at night,
Not yet.
I'm not
just
gonna
wait till later.
Think about this when I'm in the bathroom and it's dark.
Okay.
But do you want me to try to read this one?
Yeah. So this one was also posted in Our Paranormal, by the user Weekend Coast Dad. And I actually did get a response.
Yeah.
Hence the green highlight. Green means go.
All right. I just want to say that I am not very confident in my reading out loud skills. And if I do really poorly, then Cody's just going to voice over me and read it himself. So you will know, based on who ends up reading this story, how badly I did. Title: My close friend purchased a haunted house. I have a close friend who I have been friends with for over 20 years, since we were kids. He was very smart, a skeptic, believes in science, but never believed in the paranormal or UFOs or anything like that. He always said he will never believe in any of these things until he sees it. After selling his apartment, he was looking to move out of the city and purchase a house. After a few months of looking, he told me he had found a house for a really great price, and he was very excited to go see this place. So he did. Meeting with the real estate agent and doing the tour, he was ready to get the process started. I remember him telling me the price of the property and thinking, that is pretty cheap for acres of land with a 4-bedroom house. I asked him, why so cheap? He laughed and jokingly said, the real estate agent said the previous owners believe it's haunted. Obviously, with him being a skeptic and non-believer, he told me he was going to purchase it anyway. When purchasing the property, he told me he had to sign some sort of waiver where he had to acknowledge the fact that there was a stigma to the property. It does not use the word haunted. Clearly, he says yes, he signs it. He purchased it, and him and his older brother were going to start renovating it in the coming weeks. As they were renovating, they would hear footsteps behind them when no one else was in the house. Dogs barking at weird spots and just weird things he just dismissed at first. After fully moving in and spending a few weeks, I asked him if he has experienced anything else. He casually tells me that his dogs would bark at empty spots as if there was someone standing there. I told him his place has to be haunted. He wasn't ready to believe in that yet. A few months later, he called me one morning and told me he had experienced something the night before that he couldn't explain. He tells me that he woke up in the middle of the night and noticed one of his dogs that he always sleeps in his room had jumped out of the bed and ran out of the room. He looked toward the foot of his bed and saw a dark shadow figure just standing there. He panicked to turn on the light, but the figure disappeared. He was clearly weirded out at this point, but he wasn't ready to believe. I told him he was now in denial and he should be worried. A few days later, he calls me again, shook up this time. He tells me he passed out on the couch downstairs in the living room and he woke up again to his dog barking toward the end of the hall. He looked down the hall to see a man wearing old farm clothing holding a shovel. He freaked out and jumped over behind his couch in a panic mode. But once he turned around, the man wasn't there anymore and his dog was running up the stairs whimpering. When he looked at the time, it was 3:33 a.m. I noticed how long this already is, so I will cut it short. But he experienced many weird things after that. It took me about 3 years to visit his place, as it was about 8 hours away by car, and then taking a ferry a few times. When I got there, I saw the place. As weird as it sounds, it looked haunted. Old looking, dark, just had an eerie horror movie vibe. I spent 2 nights there. First night, I only heard footsteps, but I didn't see or feel anything. The second night, I couldn't sleep because I would hear an odd clicking noise coming from the walls, and it felt like someone was in the room with me. I didn't want to wake everyone up, so I just laid there until the sun came up and I passed out. A few weeks ago, his older brother saw a guy with a shovel walk down the hall, and he jumped to go check and find nothing. Those experiences are still happening to this day. If you made it to the end, thank you for reading this long read. Edit. Should I read this part?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for all the comments and upvotes. I also forgot to mention that after a while, he found out that the previous owners were brother and sister couple.
Oh, boy.
Who had a kid. The kid supposedly used to torture cats and do a bunch of crazy stuff. Okay. Edit 2. Again, thanks again for all the comments. I told him I posted about his experience on here, and he told me the previous owner collected Nazi paraphernalia. I think he found a bunch of weird things from the past owners. They sound weird. I will ask more questions some of you guys asked, and we'll report back.
Okay.
Well, this one I believe.
You believe?
Yeah.
So they actually see a farmer at the end of the hall, which I have not seen a piece of video evidence of a ghost that I like fully believe, let alone one that I can easily decipher that this is clearly a farmer. But you believe this one. Yeah. I'm not saying that I don't believe it.
I just believe it by the way it's written. It really sounds like it's just this friend of a ghost seer. Like, why would he just write all these random things? It just doesn't sound like something someone would make up. I
don't even know that that's the goal of this,
not like
is to determine if it's real or not. But
it's like classic ghost stuff. Like, if you're trying to really make something up that'll like shock the internet, you're not gonna like just be like, ooh, and then he heard footsteps, you know?
No, I feel you on that. And honestly, I don't think that this is fake. I think this is probably real.
Yeah.
I'm just going based off of your previous reaction to the last story.
It's just a vibe.
Yeah, but the last story you didn't believe, but this one you do.
This one I just believe just based on just the narrative of, I don't know. I just don't think he would just come on here and like make up this story.
No, I don't think so either. I believe it too.
If it was like, what's another like horror movie cliche? Not the Native American man, but something like a woman who like looks really frazzled and her hair's in her face, and the whole town thinks she's crazy. Like is found on the property, and she's like warning everyone about going in, and they're like, "Oh, she's just crazy. Everyone thinks she's crazy. The whole town knows." If there was something like that in this story, I'd say, yeah, that's not real.
Yeah. Well, what about the incestuous brother and sister with a torturing of cats child? What do you make of that? I mean, how does it make you feel? How does that make you feel?
How does it make anyone feel?
That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, I definitely
The Nazi paraphernalia.
Yeah. Okay, so they're incestuous Nazi loving.
It sounds like the
cat torturers. Yeah.
It's a perfect concoction of this scenario.
Like, to me, that doesn't sound real, but again, why would he write that in like some edit? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And who's
I
he
haven't checked back in with this post, so he could have even more notes.
Yeah. Who is his friend really getting this like information about the previous owners from?
Yeah.
Because if it's a
like our previous owners of our house, I don't know how we would get any of that info.
No. Unless he looked them up on Facebook and was like, wow, they look similar.
Yeah, they're both brother and sister. They got the same last name and they have a flag.
Yeah.
A Nazi flag in the background. No, I'm not questioning it, but I think it's definitely adds to the element. It's like you're watching a horror movie or whatever, and you start to learn like things about the past of the house, and it's like,
of course, which is why I'm saying if it's a frazzled lady who everyone thinks is crazy in the town who tells them this stuff, then I don't believe the story. If it's a Native American man who just wanders into their property and then leaves after giving them the information, I don't believe it.
Okay. Well, anyways, the next one that we'll be reading is from Our Creepy Encounters by user Barracuda Bitch with a 1 instead of an I. B1 TCH. This one is called My Paranoia Possibly Saved Mine and My Roommate's Life. And this one I wanted to put in here because I think it's a great cautionary tale. I wholeheartedly believe that this is a good one to teach people to trust their instinct, and more importantly than that, get in tune with situational awareness.
But is it spooky?
It's spooky.
Or is it just a PSA?
It's both.
Okay.
I'll read this one. Last night, my roommate and I made a last-minute decision to go night swimming at the river in our city. It was around 8 p.m., so there were still a few people hanging around out in the area, but it was quite dark. About 15 minutes after we got there, I saw a man shining his flashlight, seemingly looking for something near where we put our stuff. I said, "Hey, keep an eye on that guy," to my roommate, semi-loud, and he obviously heard us and scurried away. I began to feel anxious, but I waited a little bit to say something to my roommate. Eventually, I did, and we decided to leave. We packed our stuff up and began to walk up the staircase that led to the parking lot, using our flashlights to see the steps. When out of the corner of my eye, I saw a dark shadow dodge into some bushes at the top. I stopped and grabbed my roommate's arm and said, nope, and started walking back down the stairs. I told my roommate what I saw when we got to the bottom, and she said it was probably just a tree blowing in the wind. I started getting the strangest feeling in my stomach that I've never had before, ever, and I just knew that if we went up the stairs, something bad was going to happen. I stood at the bottom and began to shine my light up to the top, trying to see if I could see anyone. And sure enough, I saw the outline of a man for a split second. As soon as the light hit him, he ducked behind the bushes again. Obviously, I went into full-blown panic mode and started looking for other people that were there hoping they could walk us to our car. Luckily, we found a couple not far from the steps, and they walked us to our car, but seemed quite annoyed about it. When we got to the top of the steps, he was nowhere to be seen. A few hours after we got home, I got a notification on my neighbor's app, the Ring doorbell app that sends crime alerts to your area, that someone was stabbed only a few streets away from where we were. I'm 100% certain that this guy's intentions were bad. I don't know if he was planning on kidnapping us or robbing us, but I just know something really bad would have happened if I hadn't been paying attention and we walked up those stairs. Not sure if he was the person that stabbed someone, but that notification just scared me even more. I still feel sick to my stomach because of all this.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah, so I wanted to mix in some more like real, like the dangers of humans stories and with the paranormal. And like this one I read and I was like, I'm so glad that this person trusted their gut.
Yeah.
I mean, even if that guy that was being weird and dodgy at the top of the stairs wasn't related to this, I think it's always best to trust your gut. Your gut tells you something and you listen to it.
Absolutely. Though it is hard. Okay, so this person's saying they had a feeling in their stomach that they've never ever had. So I think that sounds like it was a very strong, distinct thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're someone who has anxiety, you know that you always have a gut feeling that something bad's going to happen. And so that messaging can kind of trip you up, especially if you are someone who is overanalyzing how you feel.
Yeah.
But I'm almost always paranoid if there's another human being around me that I don't know. So I think this is just a good reminder to be
on your toes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like even with this whole COVID, the pandemic, the thing that I didn't even want to bring up during this, I wear a mask everywhere I go, and we live in a red county where a lot of people don't wear masks. And when people say, "Hey, why are you wearing a mask?" I just say I'm a cautionary person. And I am. And I think that, whether you're this person in this story who maybe doesn't have anxiety in this moment is truly just like the most anxious she's ever felt because of what she's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're like someone like me who is like always keeping an eye on like humans around me to be like, who's acting weird, who's acting dodgy, who's got a trench coat on with guns toted under it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, like I'm totally a cautionary person to be like, I don't like the situation. I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah. And it's so hard because I want people to be safe, but I also don't want them to be to the level of anxious that I've found myself sometimes being.
No.
Because I definitely take it too far where like we were at a concert for a Talking Heads cover band.
God, I was just thinking of that.
And we were so excited to be there and like it was going to be so good. And this dude with a trench coat comes and
like
it's just
trench coat to the ankles.
Like full body trench coat is just like loitering by the stage. And it really disrupted my time because I was like, okay, I should probably locate the exits.
He's going to kill us.
Just don't.
No, I felt it too, though.
I really wish trench coats weren't a thing anymore. And you don't see them much. So when you do see one, you're like, holy shit.
That guy's going to fucking kill someone.
Yeah. And I don't want to encourage people to be that way. Like not trust anyone who like looks suspicious because I probably would have had a lot more fun that night doing, something I really looked forward to. And I still did have fun. I did loosen up, but I was definitely keeping an eye on Mr. Trenchcoat.
This was pre-parenthood. So if we were parents at that time, we probably would have been like, we got a kid to take care of. I'm not even going to risk it.
I had a little 6-week fetus at that time.
That's true.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Still my baby. Yeah. So just a cautionary tale. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't be ruled by anxiety like us.
But a healthy dose of paranoia and caution is what saved this person.
Yeah. All right. So I think you can read these next two, which are both pretty short.
Yeah.
The one after it's going to be kind of long. So I'll read that one because I know you don't really like reading.
Not out loud. But I actually did okay.
You did really good. I'm proud of you.
Okay, I'm going to jinx it.
Speaking of coming over our anxieties.
I'm going to do really bad on this one, maybe. No, maybe it's the wine that helped. I haven't really read out loud. I mean, besides like children's books to our baby, I haven't read out loud since I was like randomly called to do so in high school. And that was like my worst nightmare. So,
yeah. Speaking of anxiety.
Life's a lot better now that no one's randomly calling on me to read a paragraph.
Yeah. This one is from r/the truth is here, posted by user Humping the Shark, who gave me no response when I reached out to share this. So, Humping the Shark, if you hear this story, this goes out to you.
I love that username. My aunt's experience in a nursing home.
This one's actually kind of good.
Is it like
short,
good in a scary way?
I don't think it's really that scary.
Why did you choose these?
Well, no, I mean, like, the point is like, it's okay. Just read it.
My aunt used to work in a nursing home. There was an old woman who lived there, universally beloved by all the staff, who often talked about how much she wished she were young again and could wear high heels. Every single photo of her in her room, she was wearing high heels. This woman loved shoes. One night, my aunt was talking to another nurse when they suddenly heard the distinct, loud sound of someone walking through the corridor wearing high heels. This sound moved away from them and faded away. Both my aunt and her colleague instinctively knew what had happened. They checked on the old woman, and she had died in her sleep. It's nice to know she could finally wear her favorite shoes again on her way to wherever she was going. I like that one.
Yeah.
I mean, ghost stories that are just kind of happy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the reason why I added it, because it's like not every ghost story's gotta be scary as all hell.
And I 100% believe in ghosts, and like especially little stuff like that where it's like just a little reminder to the living, or a little hint to the living that, you know, she's in the afterlife and that exists.
Yeah. I mean, real or not, this story, I love it. I just feel like it's like a great like break from like all the stories that you read on these Reddit subreddits where it's like, I woke up and there was a man strangling me by the throat, and then yada yada. So I like this one, and I imagine it almost like, you know, last episode of spooky show. Pesto, hey, you want to stop scratching? That's loud.
Come here, I will love you.
End of a season of some show where like the lady that loves high heels that can't wear them anymore dies, and
it is
the walking away.
Yeah, that's the end of episode.
Yeah, I like that one.
I like it. This one is under post.
Yeah, so this one was under the post somebody shared, which was just basically asking for people's spooky stories.
Oh, okay. So there's not really a title. It's just someone's comment of their own spooky story.
Yes, somebody commented. The user is Migit, MIKGT 813.
All right. Migit says, when my mom and two uncles were young, they lived in a trailer-type home, but it was on a piece of land in a very small town in Massachusetts. Not many people live in the town or know of it. Inside of the trailer was the living room that faced the large window to the backyard. It was more like thick woods behind the home. My uncle told me that one night he remembers staring out the window at a very bright light in the sky. He said it was moving closer, it seemed, and he just couldn't take his eyes off of it. The last thing he remembered after that was my grandmother and mother shaking him and freaking out, calling his name because he was found just staring out the window, shaking and extremely cold to the touch. He said they took him to the hospital because he was really out of it once he came to. To this day, he believes he was abducted by some sort of being/aliens. Woo!
That's right. I want to get some alien stuff in here, and there's more
alien stuff in here. Because alien stuff truly does scare me.
Yeah.
This one, he doesn't have any memory of. Okay, so he was just staring out the window.
So he's telling it
and kind of
about his uncle's experience. Yeah.
He's just staring out the window out of it and then he just kind of like came to, and they were shaking him.
It sounds like he was looking out the window and a very bright light in the sky like captivated him.
Oh yeah.
And then he just doesn't even remember the gap of time, but suddenly his mom and sister are shaking him awake. And then
that's aliens.
They took him to the hospital because he was extremely cold to the touch. Like, that part freaked me out. Extremely cold to the touch. what was going on.
Yeah.
The blood was no longer flowing in his body.
Oh my God. What was that show we watched?
What show?
The Alien. It was Unexplained Mysteries on Netflix.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
The Alien episode, definitely watch that. That is like,
yeah.
I mean,
I love alien stories and concept, but once I get into them, I'm like, oh, this is spooky.
It's really spooky. I do believe in my heart that aliens are nicer than humans.
Well, they gotta be to have leaped this far in the stars.
Yeah.
To find us. But nice, I mean, they're probably nice to themselves.
If they want.
We're like the worms that they experiment on.
Maybe. I just think if they wanted to actually like take over the earth and do something crazy and evil and kill us all or something, it would have definitely happened by now. They've been observing us for a long time, and they know we suck and that they're better than us, and I think they're going to try to bring peace to us.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
but
and this isn't even the discussion, but if we're on the topic, I think that we offer them nothing. Enslaving us, what would that do? I either think that they're not interested in us, or they are a sympathetic species and they will bring us peace. I agree with that. But I don't think it's anywhere in between.
I don't think they're evil at all. I think that they are a much higher level being than we are. They don't think of what's in it for me. They think of what's in it for the greater good of the universe, and that we're getting smarter and able to like travel and communicate with them in, the coming years. So they know we're going to have to mingle, and they are going to teach us how to actually be chill.
What do you think of the story, though?
Pretty spooky. Not as spooky as that Netflix alien show, but
yeah. Well, this next one comes to us from our paranormal by the user prod by unhinged, which the user asked me to credit his SoundCloud unhinged, but instead of GED, it's GXD, who produces hip-hop beats. So be sure to check that out. But the title is My First and Last Time in Lay Woods. My name is Luke, and I am now 20 years old. The story happened to me when I was 17. This experience still gives me chills to this day. In May 2017, I found myself going out a lot more on my mountain bike. I was getting bored of cruising around the street, so I wanted to go for a trail/woodland bike ride. I've never been to Lay Woods before then. Personally, I don't think I'll be going alone again. Now, for those of you that don't know, Lay Woods, and let me be sure of this. Yes, Lay Woods is in Bristol, the UK. So, a little context for where we're talking about. After some research into a few different areas, Lay Woods seemed to be my best bet. Living only a couple of miles away from it was a nice bike ride. It looked very peaceful, and I was almost in a dream-like state by my first look of the place. For a woodland area in England, let alone Bristol, it was amazing. On going into the woods, I remember seeing different colors at the start of each trail, signifying difficulty for bikers and length for walkers. So I decided to go down a colored, I can't remember very well, I think it was blue, trail to see how it was there. Finding it exciting, I decided to go down the harder trail, and now here's where it starts to get weird. I began having this weird sort of vision, looking around as if I'm being swallowed by the woodland. Everything felt like I was getting bigger and further away. I brushed it off, but it turns out I actually lost track of time. I got lost on the trail. Now bear in mind, I'm very observant and aware of my surroundings before this trail. I then came to a strange opening. I could go left in the rough direction of the way out, or right deeper into the woods. Me being me, I decided to go deeper into the woods. I came to a little trail that had just dodgy writing all over it, metaphorically speaking. I went against my gut feeling of turning back and went down there again. The trail continued. It was getting dangerous, the trail being too bumpy for me to even walk down. I turned back. But for a few minutes before turning back, I don't know why, but I just stood there, staring down the trail. I felt like I was being watched from all angles, even though it would be near impossible to have that many eyes surrounding me in that area. I got nervous and began walking back up the trail as I was too tired to ride at this point. Keep in mind, my bike tires are completely solid, no punctures, slow punctures, or even anything wrong at all. Upon getting back to the spot where I originally went to the trail, that weird loss of time thing happened. It felt as if the whole path had stretched by half a mile, as if the woodland was moving. I began walking up the path, feeling that same eerie sensation of being watched as I did beforehand. This time, it felt a bit more sinister. It felt as if something was going to happen. Bearing in mind, I hadn't seen a single person in this point of time since I went down the first trail. I'll explain the scenery before continuing. It's a long path, slight hill to my left, very narrow river to my right, maybe 4 feet deep, maybe 4 feet wide. Bushes are on the other side of the river, with the odd tree every now and then. Upon getting about a quarter of the way up the slowly inclining path, I hear a woman crying behind a tree up ahead. I start slowing down my walking pace to try and get a good look behind the tree, but the whole time I'm thinking to myself, why would someone jump across to cry behind a tree? So I edge closer to the river to look behind to see if the person is okay. Also because many people go to Lay Woods to commit suicide. So I was hoping to maybe help this person. But you guessed it, there is no one there and the crying stopped. A bit weirded out, I slowly turn away and start walking again, a bit quicker as I was unnerved at the time. I've had paranormal experiences before, but not usually in places like the woods, usually in a house or some sort of building, so this was new to me. I had this sudden shiver and I was walking, and maybe a minute or so later, only a couple meters away from where I heard the crying, it started again. But this time it was right opposite of me across the river. I didn't bother looking. I started to go into a bit of a jog, and as I got faster, I heard the bushes rustling as if they were coming after me or following me. Upon hearing this, I sped up, and the crying became more and more hysterical. Bear in mind, my bike was fine before this moment in time. I thought to myself, fuck this, I'm gone. I went to hop on my bike with the adrenaline that was rushing me through, and I came to almost a sudden stop. My back tire on my bike had become completely flat. So I had no other choice but to sprint with my bike, and I pray for the best that I don't trip up or end up having to throw it to run faster. With a crying person still behind me, I had the feeling of wanting to cry because I couldn't actually do anything to help the situation or get out of it faster. And after what felt like an hour, but in reality was probably 5 or 10 minutes, I could see the car park. The crying had stopped following me and getting closer and started moving back down where I first heard it. I sprinted out into the car park. I must have been as white as a sheet of paper and hysterical with my breathing and wheezing as multiple people in the car park turned to look at me as if I was crazy. I seen the exit sign out of the car park and ran towards it. I noticed my bike to be moving a lot smoother on approaching the car park exit. I couldn't believe that my bike tire had suddenly regained all of its air. It was solid again, as it was before the unnerving crying person's shenanigans. I jumped on my bike and got away from Lay Woods as fast as I could and have never gone back since, as every person I told this story becomes reluctant to go there with me or any extra people. This is the end of the actual story. Keep reading for a little extra information. The thing that makes this scary is I have Irish heritage. In Irish folklore, there is a demon woman called the Banshee. Yeah. She is seen in woodlands next to rivers, lakes, washing the blood off of clothes. It is said that if you see her washing blood off of clothes, the person who owns the clothes will die. Alternatively, if you hear her crying, it means death. I can't remember the meanings exactly of the deaths, but it means either you or a loved one will die. Since 2017, I have lost my auntie, 2 of my best friends, and a dog. Leigh Woods is no joke. There are many stories that have come out of Leigh Woods too. You can read them online. Search up Leigh Woods Bristol haunting. It is rated 87th most haunted place in the UK according to Higgypop. It's a popular site in Bristol for suicides, or it was at least. Even the ghost of Isambard Kingdom Brunel has been spotted there, looking over the suspension bridge in which he designed. And that's the end. Again, that was from Unhinged GXD, and he has a SoundCloud with hip hop beats, so a little extra for you. Yeah, this one, the story that he tells in general is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But when you factor in the idea of the Irish folklore of the banshee, that's when it's like,
yeah,
I don't like this.
Yeah, talking about banshee, then I'm really not liking this. And weren't you saying you were reading some other stories of banshee stuff, and it was similar, and that's really that's creeping me out.
I don't know what it is. It's like the woman in the white dress, like black hair cliche.
It works.
That is creepy, but the like woodland folklore freaks me out more than anything.
Yeah, but did he really say what this woman? Well, he didn't see her.
He did not see.
But I wonder what she's been described as looking like. Probably don't want to know.
In the comments of this and in the comments of some others that talk about singing in the woods, they say that if you lay eyes on the banshee, it means death for you.
Oh, so it's a good sign if you don't.
So like it sounds like he avoided looking at the source because of hopefully, I guess, that idea.
Yeah.
So good on you, Unhinged, for not looking, and I'm glad you have made it 3 years yourself. Unfortunate for your auntie and your friends. I'm very sorry for your loss. Mm-hmm. Losses, and your dog.
Yeah. Ugh, I don't like the title of this one.
You want to read this one?
Sure.
Oh, this is found on Our Creepy Encounters, posted by Ink and Lemonade. Ah, yes, Ink and Lemonade. She asked me to reference her Instagram under the same name, Ink and Lemonade.
Oh, really? Did you check it out yet?
I have briefly, yes.
All right, Ink and Lemonade. The story is called She Just Stared at Me. This story made me freeze, but is relatively short and bizarre. I was at home with my family in the living room, and the blinds were drawn but not closed. It was in the evening, and we were watching TV with the floor lamp on as well. That sounds a lot like what we're about to do.
That's true, actually. I didn't even think of that.
Why did I say that? The window faces our driveway, just like ours, which is on a 5-house dead-end street close to ours.
2-house dead-end street. That's even worse.
It's way worse. In a nice part of town. Maybe not that part. Around the...
We live in a nice part.
Yeah. Around the corner from a busy road. That's true. There's... Okay, I'll stop. There's also a street light, but we weren't paying attention. And it's a tight squeeze between my mom and stepdad's cars, with the bushes and flowers on each side of the driveway in the front too. Our door is solid, with a frosted, very thin and thickly paned window, like ours,
Shut.
on the right-hand side, maybe less than 2 inches wide so we can see movement, but the light next to the door was off as we weren't expecting anyone. I hear a knocking on the door, and it's a bit odd. It's around 9 p.m. Ooh. But I jump up to answer it because one of my neighbors has a habit of knocking on the chat bollocks.
I don't know what that means.
We are too American to get that one.
Yeah.
To us, sometimes... Oh, to chat bollocks with us sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Or borrow a ladder or something. I froze.
I want to say that it's literally 9 p.m. right now. So this happened around 9 p.m. in this story, and it's 9 p.m. now. So let's see if we get a knock while we're reading this.
No. Okay. All right. I froze. And I mean, I didn't even know how to breathe at this point. There was a middle-aged woman, very short. I'm only 5'4", with short gray hair and glasses and very dark eyes. Oh my God. Staring at me, breathing very audibly and slowly. I don't know what it was about her that made the hair on the back of my neck stand or why I went paler than a ghost. All of a sudden, my usually timid mother, who's 5'2", comes up behind me, says, "No," loudly and sternly, shuts the door in the woman's face right as she took a step forward, nearly coming in our doorway. Oh my God. I look at her in disbelief. After what felt like an eternity, there was only 30 seconds in reality. She just slammed the door on this woman. She brushed it off and said she's done this a few times. I looked through the peephole, and the woman was still there, staring into my soul, looking almost animalistic. I didn't move or really blink much for 5 minutes or so before looking at my neighbor's door and then leaving. She didn't move.
Yeah.
She's not come back since. This was around a year ago. Looking back, was she mentally unstable? Probably. But she was clearly stable enough to grab a weather-appropriate coat, it was chilly, and a matching purse along with her glasses. I didn't know what it was about her. Maybe her eyes, her breathing, or the fact that she just didn't move or speak. Hate that.
Yeah, that one spooked me out.
Yeah, I don't.
The very dark eyes.
Yeah, the dark eyes, because then I think of that. The black-eyed children. Yeah, I can't think about it. Don't.
No, this just sounds like a fucking vampire, like, waiting for you to open the door and creep into your house,
yeah,
which...
We gotta invite her.
Vampires, you know, I don't believe in. But this reminds me of that. And I don't like that.
No, not at all.
That one spooked me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do this one. Especially because it's in Michigan.
Mm.
This was on our paranormal encounters posted by the user Just a Nerd's Throw. And the title is, "Something was on my back porch last night. It was not human." So I've been debating on if I should post this, but I am starting to get really freaked out and figured it could not hurt asking for help. Now, I will warn you all, my English is not my first language, and I'm going to warn you all that it's probably going to take me a couple of times rereading some things. I am French Canadian, but moved to the US about 3 years ago, so if my grammar or spelling is off, I am sorry, and I say the same for my speech. So I live in pretty rural area in Michigan, close to the lake. Currently living alone, both my parents are in Canada, taking care of my great uncle who is in his 80s. Some really odd things have been happening in the last 2 weeks. Started back in September when my 15-year-old cat, Ginger Snap, went missing. What an adorable cat name. I can already see it. Little orange tiger. Mm-hmm. At first, I figured she had passed away, since she was very old and had a few health problems already. A few days later, I found her body completely torn to shreds on my back porch. I mean, severely mutilated to the point where I threw up while sobbing hysterically.
Oh my God.
I came to the conclusion that it must have been a bird of prey, since we have so many big owls and hawks where I live. A few days passed, and on October the 4th, something odd also happened. I was watching TV around 11 p.m., and I kept hearing a really fast knocking sound. It would come in sets of 5 and stop for a few seconds, then start again. I ended up going outside to investigate, and I couldn't see anyone, but there was a really fucking horrible smell. Then what happened last night? So I had woken up around 3 a.m., which happens sometimes if I had a really messed up dream. So I walked down the hall to get a drink and watch some TV, but I froze at the fridge because next to the fridge is the back porch door, and I heard someone walking around. And I looked over to the door and saw a huge shadow. It was kind of crouched on his hands. I don't really think it saw me, but it looked human. I didn't move for a whole 3 minutes before the shadow moved in the blink of an eye, and it was just gone. I ran back to my room and called the cops. When they got there, they couldn't find anything. They told me that there was no way that it was a person on our back porch because it was suspended about 15 feet in the air. There was no ladder, and I'm super freaked out, especially since I am completely alone here. I don't know much about the supernatural outside of the standard werewolves and vampires, so any tips would be deeply appreciated. And so this person posted a follow-up.
The same person posted a
Yes.
follow-up.
Yes. On a different subreddit called The Truth Is Here. Still user Just a Nerd's Throw. And so something's on my back porch last night and it wasn't human. Update. So I kind of want to apologize for going silent yesterday. I'm currently at a friend's house and will be here for at least 2 days for the sake of my own safety. But like a lot of people have suggested, I spoke with my neighbor. I'm going to call him G for the sake of his privacy. He's 84, and I seriously doubt he would like his name floating around on Reddit. So I think it is important to say that during my walk to his home, because it takes me a good 10 minutes to get there, that I felt like someone was watching me. I kept hearing leaves and sticks breaking, and I swear to God I heard my father's voice at one point. But it could have just been in my head. But once I got to G's home, everything was fine. He's a very nice man, but a widower. He had me come in and we spoke about normal things at first. He told me how he missed having his grandkids over in the summer, due to COVID and other things like that. Then I finally told him what had happened to me. Of course, we talked about it being a bear or a rabbit or a lynx, but as I told him more, he looked a bit more nervous. He told me that in the late 60s, after he and his wife had gotten married, that their 17-year-old sister, or her 17-year-old sister, had gone missing in the woods. Apparently, the cops never investigated before. They believed she just ran off to join some hippie commune or something. Maybe she did, who knows? But he said something that kind of freaked me out. He said that I looked just like she did, only with colored hair. At this point, I asked if he knew any of the lore in the area, and he told me that his grandma used to tell him that this was her people's land before the colonizers took it. And she would tell him to never play outside during the winter or the Wendigo will get him.
No.
Which in the story, she spells it Witiko, Witiko, which somebody has already confirmed is another name for the Wendigo. He asked if I wanted to lay a few traps around the house, and I said yes. I even offered to pay him, but he turned it down. He's truly a gentleman. So now I'm just really scared. I don't know what a Wendigo is, so if someone could tell me, that would be amazing. Today is my day off, so I will be trying to reply to everyone, and thank you for everyone as well. And Wendigo.
Yeah.
Freaks me out.
Horrifying.
It's all hell.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of Wendigo stories on the No Sleep podcast and also on the Time Suck.
Do you want to give a brief overview of what they are?
Yeah, so the Wendigo is like a Native American folklore cryptid, and it has many different tellings of what it is, what it looks like, what it does, but essentially it is a woodland creature, man-turned creature that has succumbed to a curse due to cannibalism. From what I understand, a person stranded in the wild eats another human because they're desperate for food, and it turns them into the Wendigo, which then gives them the craving for human flesh endlessly. And
what do they look like?
Thin, frail, but still huge and muscular, and they're said to run really fast. I don't know. I really recommend listening to the Time Suck episode on the Wendigo for all the information, because it is really in depth.
Yeah.
And it's great. But Wendigo fucking freaks me out.
Yeah.
Because we live in Michigan.
Why does this person have to be in Michigan? You didn't tell me. You had kind of told me a briefing of this story a while ago, and you didn't mention it was in Michigan.
Yeah.
In fact, you almost made it sound like it was in another continent. Like
Canada?
No, it was I don't know, Ireland or something like that.
It's probably another story.
Maybe. But still, I hate that.
No. So the Wendigo is also known to mimic human voices that in this person says it sounded like their father's voice. And a
That's
lot of the
so
comments are
messed
like,
up.
this is a Wendigo.
No, I don't like that. I was too scared to listen to the Dan Cummins time suck about it because I'm just too scared to really confront the idea.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe it all. I'm a skeptic on a lot of things. I'm spiritual, so I do believe in like ghosts and stuff, but the Wendigo seems a little bit much for me, but the concept is still fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's a really scary concept. I would say, okay, so where would you put what you believe certain paranormal things? Like, I believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Do you believe in like possession and exorcism? And
See, I don't know. Like it's something that like I don't know that I believe, but I do know that I wouldn't even mess around to find out.
Yeah, I don't want to be
like,
around.
I'm not gonna chance something like that.
No.
I won't have an Ouija board in this house.
No, never.
I don't even want to have tarot cards in this house because of the stories I've read while searching for these stories.
Really?
Yeah, just like people saying like you can't just buy your own tarot cards. Like you have to be gifted them or whatever. Like I don't know how it all works. Yeah.
Pretty sure people buy them.
I know they do. But
well, what happens to them if they buy them?
Just like the deck becomes cursed. I don't know.
There's a lot of sales of tarot cards on Etsy.
I know there are. And I'm sure it's completely fine. And the skeptic in me should probably just come to the surface. But at the same time, I'm like also a cautious person, like I've already talked about. And it's like, why would I even risk it? I don't need tarot cards. I'm fine. Yeah.
I would say I probably believe in the possession stuff as much as I don't want to.
Yeah.
That stuff is, I think a lot of people would agree. I don't know if it's being raised in a like Catholic background or if it's just like, obviously it's scary. That's the scariest thing.
I mean, yeah.
Demon stuff, too scary.
It's the whole like entity from another realm that you can't understand but understands you so well and your weaknesses and all that stuff.
The possession movies are the ones I really just don't watch.
Yeah, for sure. So fuck the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is found on The Truth Is Here by user Carbon Creepy. And the title is, I saw something my puny brain.
You sound like Hubie Halloween.
Oh, God. Not a goal of my life. I saw something my puny brain immediately tried to reject. Have any of you witnessed an unidentified moving object?
This happened on the way to EMS class about 4 years ago. I've been looking for somewhere I could post ever since. I've been hoping to find others who've experienced the same thing. I was driving and my brother was in the passenger seat, reading the assigned chapter for that week out loud. We were coming up to the exit when I saw the thing coming down the eastbound freeway ramp. I have to call it a thing because I have no idea what I saw. It moves so fast. To give you an idea of how fast, we were about 50 yards away from it and I saw it at the same time and heard it zip by. It looked like a ripple. If you saw a heat distortion but throttling forward. It registered as a momentary blur. I don't have a reference for what I saw, so my brain instantly tried to reject it. It happened so fast I didn't even react. Not so much as a what the fuck. I didn't even mention it. I will say this, though. Traffic was heavy enough that it seems unlikely no one else saw it, and I'm baffled that it could maneuver at the speed without colliding with other vehicles. I didn't think about it again until the next time we passed that exit, and even then I thought about it for maybe only a second. When we passed by the exit again about a week later, my brother blindsided me. He said, "Bro, we have to talk about the blur." Apparently, he looked up from his book and saw the same thing I did, but his take was a bit different. He claimed he'd been trying to talk to me about it all week, but every time he tried, his whole train of thought derailed. His take definitely gave me the creeps, though. He believed that whatever we saw was actively trying to make us forget about it. He said that he'd practiced saying the phrase, "We have to talk about the blur," several times that day just to make sure we talked about it. My best guess was that we saw an alien vehicle. I wish I had more to say on this, but that's all I have. If this has ever happened to you, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks. Update. I got a chat invite early this morning about my post. The user claimed he had a similar story years ago and wanted to give me a more specific location. Wanted me to give a more specific location. I asked if he possibly knew me and to share his IRL name on the chance that he heard it from me. He finally replied, and I'm a little mind blown. He gave details I didn't share in this post. I'm currently asking for his approval to link to a screenshot of our convo on Imgur. Imager. Never know how to say that. For your inspection. Thanks for taking interest in our story. And then there's a link to the conversation.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that one's definitely creepy to me.
It's back on the subject of aliens.
And we're looking at this conversation now.
So, yeah, the conversation, let's see what they talk about here. In the Montana Laurel area, around the exit where the zoo is. So, yeah, it sounds like there's a shared experience among users of what happened. And that makes it even creepier.
I believe that one. Because I know aliens are all up in our world doing weird stuff.
But it's so weird to me, like, the idea of, like, so they're in this, like, traffic and, you know, they're on their way to their normal day and they see this blur that refuses to be understood by them.
Mm-hmm.
And even refuses to be recalled by them.
Yeah.
To talk about it. But, like, why is it driving through traffic?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they're...
I'm not saying it's not true. Like, I believe this story, but, like, that's just so weird. Like, why?
They're, like, studying human travel.
Why?
They're
already beyond it.
I don't know. I don't know why they would be doing that. Maybe they're slowing down time and taking a little bit of information from each person in the car, in every car, and then making them forget about it. I don't know. I don't know what aliens are up to.
Testing out new technology, see if they can blur themselves out from our memory.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's freaky though.
It's like the alien version of when there's like a new car on the road and they put that cover on it so you can't tell.
I don't know if everyone would know because we're from like Detroit.
Yeah.
Automotive city. So around here there's a lot of cars that the new automakers will put, like, you've probably seen them online, I guess, but like the highly
it's like camouflage,
textured camouflage, so you can't tell like the contours of the body, and there's like canvas on it. So yeah, maybe that's what the aliens are doing, so we don't figure out what their next model year is for the spaceship they're using.
Yeah, creepy though. I don't like that.
Yeah, I feel like we watched an alien movie. I don't remember the name, and I want someone to recall the name for me because
maybe they made us forget it.
Maybe, but it was about like this couple that goes camping in the woods, or not in the woods. Like, it's in the woods, but they go in a cabin, like upstate New York or something, or Canada.
Oh,
and there's like something out in the woods.
Yeah, what was that?
Do you remember like
and doesn't
there's like some conflict between them as a couple, I think.
Yeah, but she starts to change.
Yeah, she starts to like
not
get
be herself
like infected
anymore.
by something.
Yeah, I can't remember if she was like there's some kind of pregnancy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was something.
But like he finds something going on out in the woods. I don't know. It was one of those movies that is subtly paced, and I loved it for that, but I can't remember the name.
No, and we can barely remember the plot, so if anyone can help us,
yeah,
you're a genius. Yeah, I can like see clips of it in my head, but I've thought about that one before too, and I'm like, what? When did we even see that?
Yeah, that's the problem with dropping Netflix and then it deleting your list when you join back in, is you can't remember all the stuff you watched.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Netflix, I think that's a good spot to stop tonight.
But maybe we can read some more.
Yeah.
We'll read some more some other time. We're just so tired. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
If you can't.
Exhausted.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. And yeah.
Gotta go watch something spooky and then round out the night with some Hubie Halloween.
What's Hubie gonna get into tonight?
I don't know. It's like watching a show with episodes.
Yeah.
But like it's literally just
like 4-minute long
middle
episodes.
of a scene.
Yep.
You just pick up right in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'm honest when I say like once we hit like that top of the next 10 minutes, we just stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, we're stopping at 10:10. And then at 10:10, it doesn't matter if someone's talking. I just like stop.
Yeah. And someone's always talking.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone's talking, and then by the time we jump back in, the show is just like
the end of their sentence.
Of Adam Sandler talking with a lisp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good night, everyone.
Yeah. Don't be too spooked. Unless that's your thing. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, you survived. Excellent. Well, then you should be ready for tomorrow when I come back to read some more stories. Emily was going to come back, but she's been so busy getting caught up on commissions, so I felt it too much to demand any more of her time. I appreciate her for doing what she did tonight, and I hope you do too. So you're going to have to tough it out and deal with just me. I know I'm not fun. I know I have a lot of growing to do as a person on my own, but you're going to be there for me, and you're going to like it. So am I. So come back here tomorrow. The episode will be live at midnight tonight. So if you want to catch it while it's dark and spooky, go ahead. Or you can catch it tomorrow night after you've done all your trick-or-treating. But either way, get back here. This has been Cody Buchanan. Thank you for listening to None the Lesser. I'll see you next time.